let's hop right in. Welcome to the 2D podcast, 2d Dojin Ongaku.
Now you know that we exist because we recently announced that we're doing this.
Yeah, we did it in somewhat secrecy, I guess, but it's just two dopes, and we're gonna talk about a Dojin album today.
Well, first off, who are you?
I am Veto, and who are you?
I'm DJ, for better or worse.
Okay.
What we got today?
Well, we have a CD by the circle ELFENSJÓN, ELFENSJÓN, ELFENSJÓN's.
ELFENSJÓN.
ELFENSJÓN, which is spelled ELFENSJÓN.
Accent over the O.
ELFENSJÓN. So we can call it that, or El fashion. I guess that is that. Would that be like Spanish, like El fashion?
No.
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 Okay. I'm sorry. I'm going to take it seriously now. So the circle name's ELFENSJÓN. So I mean, and their the album is named Ash of Rouge. Right? Not Ash of Rogue, right? Ash of Rouge.
Like the bat.
Yes, like Rouge the Bat. We've played Sonic Adventure 2. Last good Sonic game. No, I'm kidding. I guess we can talk about the circle a little bit, right? So it's two, or actually two peoples. Although I'm pretty sure Kurose Keisuke, who is the circle leader, is a guy.
That would sound right.
Because he's in some of the music videos for his previous bands. But before I get into that, of course, he's this gentleman, Kurose-san, has been grinding in the Dojin music scene for over a decade. I was looking into his work a little bit earlier, and just grinding for between 2006 and 2015. He was in a Dojin circle as Azriel.
Yeah, I actually have a few albums of theirs.
Oh, really?
From as far back as like 08.
Yeah, no, it's wild. Like a billion EPs or mini albums, whatever you want to call them, and like 4 full albums. It was himself and Kokomi. I didn't look deep into the staff, but I assume he got like other people to play the guitars and stuff, that kind of thing. Because I didn't actually listen to it, but I assumed it was also the same kind of gothic metal Visual K kind of sound as his next band, or his next project, which was Ouroboros, which is hasn't officially disbanded. Like I think it's a real band, like a major signed band, but there haven't been any activities from Ouroboros for like 3 years. So like it's kind of sort of like
maybe it's on the back burner.
Yeah, you can correct me if I'm wrong. It's like this is just like top level research that I was doing. It's just like, okay, what are these? Because they're in his Twitter profile. They're in Kurose-san's Twitter profile. It's like X Azriel and Ouroboros.
But there's no X there, so
yeah, there's no X in Ouroboros. So it's technically there hasn't been a disbandment, but I did listen to the Ouroboros song that was used as the anime OP for an anime that I never heard of called Rokka no Yusha, Hero of 6 Flowers or something like that. And I'm like, okay, this is sounds just like Visual K. it's visual. And I'm like, okay, that is cool. That's fine. And then I guess you can say this current project, ELFENSJÓN, is from, I guess, last year, started like officially created last year, I guess. And Kurose is the leader and the composer still. And then I may pronounce this last name wrong of the designer and the illustrator, the planner, Ishizue. I don't know if it's Sue or Zue, but Ishizue Kachiru as the second member. So once again, it's just 2 main members, and then the music is all entirely composed and I guess arranged by Kurose, and then he just has the guest musicians play because players perform the work, you know.
Yeah.
But it's also kind of uncommon to me as someone who's sort of, I guess, watched, you know, or like sort of, I guess I'm sort of inside a little bit too, but like sort of looked at the dojin scene, and most people at least, you know, played something, you know, but he doesn't take credit for like any of the actual instrumentation, you know, just the composition, just the arrangement, the production of the music, of course. Like he's the producer, so he's probably programming all of the, like, most a lot of the strings, and maybe he's playing the piano, but he doesn't take credit for any of that stuff. He's just, you know, the producer of the
But
music, you
wouldn't
know.
that fall under like a composition, like the
I
synths, the
guess, you know.
piano, drums?
Yeah, I guess that falls under the blanket of everything else, you know. I, even in the video for the Arubaros song that I watched, he was sort of in like, I don't know if he was on a keyboard. There was definitely a MacBook on his music stand. So like, you know, I don't know. Um, Either way, he's clearly very talented.
Yeah, really, really good composer.
I don't know if I have anything else. I don't know. I didn't actually dig deep into like the guest performers for ELFENSJÓN, but if you have, you can. And if not, I'll cut it out. But cut out that part. But I did not dig too deep into any of those.
Yeah, I have a couple bits to say.
Hmm.
So the two vocalists, Okoge-chan and Fujita Kazuya, I
Hmm.
actually recognize them because they've contributed guest vocals to another circle I keep up with, High Logic,
Huh.
which essentially it's one composer,
Sure.
Roka, who originally uses Vocaloid as the as the vocals, and then later, yeah, you know, and then later on,
Hmm.
more or less recruits just a gazillion different like dojin vocalists or utaites, I guess you could also call them, to do, you know, real actual vocals, and then compiles that and chucks them out as albums. So I have a few of those, and
So they're
of
acquainted,
those
basically.
albums I
That's probably
have,
how they got this gig.
Okoge-chan is featured on one song, and Kazuya is on two.
So they're acquainted, basically. That's probably how they got this gig.
Yeah, and so the
Oh.
dealio is that they hear ELFENSJÓN and the kind of music that Higher Logic puts out. They're kind of similar, especially where Kazuya is concerned, and so we'll get to that. There's one of the songs is basically, you know, how do I put it? It's the same sort of feeling,
Okay,
I guess you could.
sure.
Let's see. In regards to the first credited guitarist and the bassist,
Hmm.
Ebisu Seiichiro.
Hmm.
I don't know anything about him, so I won't speak to that. The next one, though, Mew, is someone that I'm very familiar with. They're the lead, I guess, the head, and also arranger for Aimi. Just a really like heavy, it's kind of like the style that we've listened to here in this album. It's like heavy metal,
Hmm.
really like driving songs. And so like when I first listened to, you know, this album, not having like looked up who the contributors are, I'm
Hmm.
like, you know what, this sounds kind of familiar. These riffs especially.
Hmm.
And then I look at the credits, and there's my guy. Dude, I got stuck between my guy and my dude. I just
Yeah,
said my
my guy.
guy.
It looks like the guest violinist, whose name I guess is just you, participated in a single song on this CD. I did check back on the last ELFENSJÓN CD, which we're not going to talk about, but today. But they also participated in one track on the last CD as well. So I guess Kurose just brought it back. It's like, hey, I like the strings. Let's get it on. But I guess that leads into this is Ash of Rouge is the second CD by this project. They released I don't know if you'd want to call it an album or mini album or I don't understand how they decide. I mean, in the first place, it doesn't make sense to call something an EP or an album or anything anymore because you can have EPs that are like 20 songs long, and mixtapes are more it's more common to call something a mixtape. But this is the second. We can just call it the second release by ELFENSJóN. It's split up into 2 discs actually. This was released at Comic Market. What number are we on? 96.
Yeah, that was 96.
Yeah, so this was they were actually tabling the same day I was, and I just didn't know. Otherwise, I probably would have bought the CD there if I had known about it. Oops. I happened to just refresh YouTube one day, and I'll actually try and find this tweet exactly what day it was. And I'm pretty sure it was the title track, Ash of Rouge, but it was just like randomly in the YouTube sidebar. So it's like, okay, the algorithm is just showing me a picture, like an anime picture, and expecting me to click on it, but it worked. The song was pretty cool. So I'm like, okay, this is the one time we'll let the algorithm determine my fate. Well, I'm too lazy to find it, but basically that's the story of how I found this album. And I'm like, okay, well, we'll listen to this and talk about this, because especially since Kurose does seem to be able to speak English, maybe like they can type it in, like it's not machine translated like his English tweets. It doesn't seem like it to me. You know what I mean? Definitely not.
Yeah, I'm looking at one now, and yeah, that's definitely not a machine translation.
But he's definitely pushing this project, sort of like what we talked about when we were talking about Alex Skaha. It was Skaha, right? I'm trying to remember. I don't want to say Skahasa because I don't think that's quite right. But Alex Skaha and the Magic Orchestra, how they're on like Spotify and iTunes and stuff. The same goes for ELFENSJÓN. They're on Apple Music, Amazon, Spotify, of course on Bandcamp. Just trying to push that, I guess, worldwide or presence, I guess.
Yeah, that's what it seems to be. And I'm just looking through Bandcamp. There's a couple dozen supporters, myself included. So
you just grabbed it today, didn't you?
Yeah, exactly. So if their aim was to reach a more like international market, it's working out decently well so far.
The cool thing about the CD set, I guess, and this is why I kind of am a little bummed out that I missed out on grabbing it at Comic Market, is it is like a two disc double CD set. Like I think it's a double digipack. Because the CD is the album, the release is 9 tracks, but it's split up into the 6 songs that are sung by sorry, I didn't put her name on my notes.
Okoge-chan?
Yes, excuse me, Okoge-chan. The 6 that are sung by her on the disc, which is called Side Alicia, and then you have the second disc, Side Astral, which is sung by Fujita Kazuya. I did write that name on my notes, so. Fujita-san's vocals on the second disc, but it seems a little, well, on the one hand, I respect the artistic decision to split them up like that, and the illustrations for both sides look amazing. Like these cover illustrations look great.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm actually very tempted, and I've told you this. I'm very tempted by the acrylic blocks that are being sold on Booth, just with those illustrations. I'm like, I could just get a big hunk of plastic with that illustration on it.
Yeah, it really is that good.
At the same time, that disc set costs 3,000 yen, which is at the current exchange rate somewhere in between $25 and $30.
Yeah, it's like 28 when I bought it.
So it's a little pricey. And of course, I guess to be fair to people who bought the CD, the digital download, at least on Bandcamp, is also set to that price as well. So it's kind of pricey. You can check it out if you want,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If you don't mind it being a little lower bit rate, then it's there. waiting for you.
Yeah, I feel like people who listen to Dojin music care a little bit more
Yeah, I would hope so,
about
especially if you're listening to us
yeah,
talk about Dojin
I guess.
music.
I guess that's one way to think about it. One thing I actually wanted to mention that I forgot to mention about Azrael, Kurose-san's first Dojin's, well, the first one that they've put on their Twitter profile. I don't know if maybe how old they are and how long they've actually been doing Dojin work, but like I said, it's at least as early as 2006. But they released a CD in the shape of a gear, and I kind of want to see this picture because this CD that was cut like a gear, like
Oh yeah.
like a clockwork gear. It like messed up CD players and
Oh
stuff, some
shit.
CD players. So they stopped the production of that CD, and eventually they were released as normal circular, like fully circular CDs. But I just thought, I'm like, that's awesome. Actually, it's like I want to see this CD in the shape of a gear, you know.
Don't you think they would have tested it to see,
I mean,
make sure that?
maybe it worked in their CD player, but then if they actually, yeah, let me see if it's on Discogs real quick.
Wait, you can use that as a weapon.
Anyway, that's just a story that's on Wikipedia, so, and I can only imagine because I didn't actually look for a picture of it, which just, that's just the Two Dopes brand, not actually following through on research. But this CD, this mythical CD in the shape of a gear, and I'm just like, this is amazing. That's so cool. And also, it ruins CD players. It's like, what a cool collector's item that would be to have that. Sort of like how I have, and this is going to be a joke where I talk about Shinigyo Satellite every episode, but
Right.
sort of like how the first Shinigyo Satellite album, Dead Silence, the first run had a misprint because Seitaro forgot to put the band logo on it, so on the front of the CD, so it just has the picture of Akyu on the front. It doesn't have the Shinigyo Satellite logo. So
Wow.
I actually have two copies, one with and one without the logo.
It's a collector's item now.
I actually prefer well, obviously, if you've seen any of my album covers, I prefer not to have words on them at all. But enough about that. I think that's all I really have to say leading up to the actual songs. I think we can, unless you have anything else.
No,
No?
that's all I got.
Well, then let's just hop right into the first disc, I guess, Side Alicia. The first track, which is called and I'm not a native Japanese speaker, so
Your best.
you're gonna have to pardon me if I'm not reading these kanji correctly, but I think it's Hishaku no Majo. Hishaku is using like that first character is an outdate, like it's an old character, I think, for like a deep red, like a scarlet or a cardinal. And the second kanji is can be read as shaku by itself, or you can combine it. It's yaku to yaku is to tan, like a suntan, or to like burn. But shaku, the kanji by itself, is like miraculous. So you get like this kind of shining imagery, I guess. So I guess like the simplest way to sort of translate this title, Hishaku no Majo, is Scarlet Witch, which seems a little plain, I guess. But I really don't know the best way to localize this at this point in my life. I'm not.
Yeah, and I kind of get it because, like, using like archaic kanji, it's very on brand for like gothic metal, and you kind of want to think about like, oh, how can I fancify this, more so than just saying Scarlet. But again, I'm with you on that. I'm in no position to be able to do that.
Right. And it's not the first time that we're going to see older, out quote unquote outdated kanji in the song titles here. But I guess let's talk about this first song, Hishaku no Majo. I know, and I know I told you this before. The intro, like you got the music box and that clock ticks, and then the band comes in, and this intro is kind of strange, right? Because it feels, because there's like a break in the beat. It feels kind of like the drums are playing a polyrhythm a little bit, but I think it's just because the drums are sparse and the riffs are still in 4/4. I don't think it's polymeter. I don't think there are any polymeters here. I think it's just a weird 4/4 part. And I'm literally talking about the very intro, like that.
Yeah, I'm listening to it now. I'm inclined to agree. I don't think it's anything like super fancy.
It just feels weird. So it grabs your attention right from or at least it grabbed mine right from that intro, because I'm like, well, wait, is this in 4/4, or is it actually something different? But I think it is in 4/4, but it's very maybe it's like it starts on a syncopated beat or something. It just feels strange. So I guess that's a pretty nice trick to sort of to grab the listener's attention, I think. Oh yeah, like I spent so long trying to figure out if it was in 4/4 or not. um like the China cymbals play in thirds for like the first couple measures of that, but only for like two measures, it's
Yeah, it's kind of chaotic.
but then it all comes together, and then it's just like driving, that's fine. I don't really even know where to start. It's like from the start, and you can hear it's well produced, like the sound of the audio, it's like the tone, everything, like the whole, I don't know if atmosphere is the right word, but
Ambience.
yeah, sure, that's a good word for it. Just like the ambience makes you feel like, okay, I'm listening to gothic rock. I'm listening to Visual K. It's like immediately that's what you have an understand.
You got the strings. You got the heavy riffs.
Well, it's just like what you'd expect it to sound like, I guess, is what I mean. So like I didn't I listened to the one track on YouTube the one time, and then I didn't listen to it until we had finished recording the last episode, which I think was at this point maybe 2.5 weeks ago.
Uh-huh.
It just like when I listened to it for the first time, I'm like, okay, now I know what's happening. I did not. I will say right up front, I did not translate any of the lyrics here. Sorry to disappoint anyone. I'm not gonna dig into any lyrics here.
But for those that are curious, they are easily accessible on their Bandcamp page.
Which is actually very nice. They're all on Bandcamp. Very cool.
Very cool. Right on.
So people who do want to look at that, be my guest. Oh, Koge-chan. I'm like, please let me remember her name. So her vocals come in, and I'm like, maybe I have heard her before. She's
Probably.
I feel like I've seen that name before, but I don't know any of her.
Oh, right. She's the vocalist for how do you pronounce it? Adust Rain?
Adust Rain? Okay, so that's where I've seen her voice before, or her name in the credits of something else before, because I am vaguely familiar with Adust Rain. I think I maybe translated one of their songs once at a request, or at least started to. I don't remember. But this is the first time I'm like really hearing her voice, and it's a nice voice. She's got a good voice.
Yeah.
Definitely has that Visual K.
Yeah, it suits the genre.
Yeah, it does. Thank you. It very much does suit the genre. I guess the first note I have after the intro is that at 50 seconds, it's probably like this is probably like the only weird mixing thing in the entire album. It's right in the first minute of the first song, which is kind of a shame. And I'm like, is that the bass? It sounds kind of weird.
You know what that sounds like to me? Like, you know what I immediately thought when I heard that?
What?
That's basically you ever listen to Animals as Leaders?
No.
basically like a really notable gent
Mm.
metal band. That's exactly the style as what the lead guitarist Tosin Abasi. He basically plays his like 8-string guitar as if it's like slap bass, and that's the same effect as what's going on here.
Okay.
So I thought it was a weird addition.
I don't know. Like, I don't hate it, but it's just
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like it's kind of loud for. That's like, if I was going to complain about the mix, which I want to say up front again, like this album is very well produced. It sounds good. This was the only thing that like sort of pops out as maybe being a little out of place in the mix wise, you know.
And we're gonna encounter this sort of gent like slap guitar tone like in a couple other places in like maybe like 4 other songs.
Really?
But yeah, I did come across that. Like where is it? It's actually in the next song as well.
Huh. This is the only time it really stood out for me. So it's like I made a note about it because I'm like, what is this? I'm like, is this are they not slapping the bass, but like really plucking on the bass with their like I guess up fingering, you know? So maybe that is slapping, you know, I don't know. I don't know. But if that's the guitars, I'm like it's really loud for the bass, you know?
Yeah, I'll send you a couple songs by Animals as Leaders that sort of has that exact, you know, like twangy, like really thin sort of yeah, slap bass but thin is the only way I can really describe it. But yeah, I'm in agreement. It doesn't really detract from the song, but at the same time it doesn't do anything for me. Like I'm just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, like I said, I just wish it was maybe just a little bit lower in the mix, because I know I already said this. This is like the one time in the entire album where I had to like perk my ears up and I'm like, what is that? Is that supposed to be that loud? But you know, it's Dojin music. I don't know. Maybe that was intentional.
I think it's intentional.
You found other parts that sound like that. I didn't hear any, so I don't know. I just like, you can tell where the chorus of like what is the chorus of this song, but like after the intro, you know, like the first 2 minutes and 30 seconds of the song are just like full throttle. It's just constantly, you know, she's singing, they're all playing. To me, like the song doesn't, for at least that first 2 minutes 30 seconds, it's not particularly doing anything super like melodically interesting. It just sort of like happens, and then there's the piano break at 2:30. So like that's the big thing, I guess, that happens, you know?
Uh-huh. All right. So 250.
Hmm.
I want to ask you, what is going on there?
So there you go. So the piano break, so the whole song's in 4/4 until this piano break. It switches to 3/4 for the pianos, right? So and I wrote a note about this at 250 because this is actually a really cool part. 250, there's like this like a compound polymeter. So I looked up the difference between what a polymeter and polyrhythm is, and I'm still not quite sure. I think a polyrhythm is when a single instrument is playing 2 different beats at the same time. Otherwise, it's like multiple polymeters if it's 2 different instruments, you know. So I think, and if I'm phrasing this wrong and you're a music theory person and you're listening to this for some reason, well, thank you, first of all. And secondly, I think it's, you know, the vocal at 250, the vocal is still singing in 3/4, but now the band has switched to playing in some sort of weird compound 8 time. I'm pretty sure it's a 5/8 plus a 7/8 compound time signature, 5/8 plus 7/8. So it's a 12/8 time signature, which is weird, right? Yeah, because that's still, you could still split that into 6/4 on top of the 3/4. No, it's still kind of, it still all adds together in the same amount of time, because you know you're singing in 3/4, and if you're playing in 12/8, that's still going to line up properly. But the band, like, you can hear it in the guitar riffs for certain. It's definitely splitting up that 3/4 into 5/8 and 7/8 compound time signature. So it's a really interesting part. It almost feels like Okage-chan's like out of time in some parts, but she's not. She's not, because it just lines right back up. And then you get the callback to the very intro, because they do the weird 4/4 at 3:05. You know, like that weird part that I took 10 years to try and figure out. It's more like at 3:10, and then it goes into the final chorus
Right.
after that. So that's what that break in the song is really cool. The piano sounds nice. The vocal melody and the vocal performance sounds really cool, and then it does that whole weird thing.
It's kind of like a sliding up on a piano.
Yeah.
But obviously it's a lot sharper than that. You know, these are all like intentional notes. They're going up the scale. Whoever's playing the guitar, whether it's Seiichiro or Mew,
Yeah.
they got chops.
Yeah, that's a good part. So I guess the last note I wrote for this song is which, and I may get flack for this, but the chorus, it sounds just like they copy pasted the chorus like 3 times, which, like, I get it. that's just how music's made now, I guess. But the one thing that I guess bothers me really about that is hearing the exact same riff in my right ear during every chorus. That one little lick, that you know, I'll find a timestamp for you so you can hear it. But it's just like every.
Oh, no, I know what you're talking about.
Oh, you know exactly which riff I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
like the vocal lines
right now.
Da 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 da. Da, 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 and the riff's like da, 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 da. I'm just like, oh, every single time it's exactly the same, and I'm just like, I'm like, I know that was copy pasted, and I'm just like, So I just wish maybe that was changed a little bit each time. Like, you could have copy pasted everything else, but just put a little different lick in there. That's a nitpick for sure, but because I don't mind that they're copy pasted. They sound fine. It's just that one little lick just bothers me, you know?
Yeah, it's something that you can easily like pluck out. I'm like, oh, there's that thing again.
Yeah, I mean, that's literally what happened to me. I'm like, oh, there's that lick. There it is. And then they just go into the intro again as the outro, which is it's fine. That's classic. So
Yeah.
I guess we've basically gone through the whole song. It's a good song. Pretty good song.
It's good. Pretty standard gothic rock with some like really cool stuff peppered, throughout.
Yeah.
I'm a fan.
Good lead-in track too, like good intro track. Like you hear this and like, okay, this is what I'm listening to for the next half hour. Or however long it is. I actually don't know how long this album is.
Let me 38 minutes.
Oh, 38?
Yeah,
really?
Alicia being 26.
38 minutes. This is really.
Yeah, I mean it's 9 songs, about like 4 minutes each.
Huh. I guess I mean we don't have to say
by.
It does kind of pass by pretty quickly, which is surprising to me to hear you say that it's almost 40 minutes. I'll get to it's going to be more like in my final notes, I guess, but we should probably move on to the next track.
It's the title track.
Yes, it is. Ash of Rouge. That's my first note. It's the title track. Wow. So, actually, let me just get a quick refresher.
Oh, wait, hang on. How do you pronounce in the first song? What did you pronounce the first 2 kanji?
Hishaku.
Do you think that's Rouge?
Oh, maybe.
Since that is like a shade of red, right?
I've only played Sonic Adventure 2, so, I thought Rouge, a red powder or cream used as a cosmetic for coloring the cheeks or lips. Thank you, Google, who just shows the first result from Oxford Dictionary now. Okay, so maybe it is. Huh. I'm dumb. That was the very obvious answer.
No, I mean, I just like realized this after looking at the title.
That's why there are two of us, but we're both dopes. But between the two of us, maybe we can figure things out. So maybe it's more like Witch of Rouge, and then you have Ash of Rouge in English. I don't know.
Anyway, that's just what I
maybe
wanted
the
to point
lyrics
out.
would elucidate more information, but I'm not paid enough to dig into those. But yeah, so let's talk about the title track then, Ash of Rouge.
It's heavy again. It's fast again.
Yeah, I forgot it started with this riffage. And of course you got the strings, but then it doesn't waste a lot of time during the verse, like the first verse. It's 4/4, but then it switches to 3/4 for the second half of the verse. So it's like it's not wasting any time changing time signatures.
Hmm. And so early on, like I pointed out, it's not as sharp as 50 seconds in with the first song, but the gent riffs are very much present here as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that 3/4 switches at like 30 seconds. You can hear it change. Like it's very obvious. Like the guitars sort of back off and you can hear like the little synth pluckings behind it.
And then it jumps back to 4/4
Mm.
for what would you call that, the chorus?
Yeah. I actually don't have anything to say until we hit about 2 minutes into the song, which is probably the bridge, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, and that's where it shifts to what did you say, 6/8 or 3/4?
I wrote 6/4 actually,
6/4.
but it's all similar. Like it's basically switching to some sort of into some sort of 3 time.
And
Adding the
so
acoustic guitar is really nice actually. Yeah, during the guitar solo, having the rhythm guitar being played by an acoustic is nice. Gives it that sort of well, I don't know if you want to not necessarily like Spanish feel, but sort of that more exotic flavoring during the guitar solo.
if anything, it allows for like just breathing room in general.
Sure.
You're not like assaulted by like heavy distorted guitar all the time.
I like and this is just a little note. I like how you can hear the pick scrapes a little at about 2:30 at the end of the solo. They just left the pick scrapes in. I think or like a pick slide or something. Just of whoever was performing the solo, them finishing the solo and just like sweeping the guitar neck.
Oh yeah, that's a nice touch.
I like that kind of stuff because it obviously the music was creative. It's just like it gives it that little authenticity, Well, maybe authenticity is not the right word, but you know what I mean, like that little human element. Like it's not like this solo was copy pasted 3 times and you're hearing the same riff. The vocals that start after the solo is really nice, actually. The performance and like the vocal melody is really emotional. Like it's a nice part.
She's got pretty good range. There's a lot of like low end.
Yeah, it's like it's a really good part. And then the lyrics, I didn't look into it, but the lyrics have changed for the final chorus, which I like. I like when things change and you're not singing the same thing every time.
Oh, right. So I think I really dig that. It almost felt to me that we're getting like listening to the same chorus in 2 different type signatures.
Really? I didn't.
Well, in the sense what you would consider the chorus to be like in the first half, when it's still 4/4.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if I'd call this a chorus actually. I did write finale in my note here. This is more like a finale because it's still in 6/4 or that 3. It's still in 3 time for this ending instead of being 4/4 for the like the first chorus was. But you can't even really call it the first chorus because it was the only chorus. I think they only had that one quote unquote chorus.
Yeah, I think what I'm getting at is like the similar like vocal melody in 2 different
contexts.
Yeah.
Sure. because it's in a different. I didn't notice it was in a different time signature. My note literally is the finale lead vocal melody sounds the same. I guess I left out as the chorus, but then I comma this finale is good.
Oh,
um,
it's true. I agree. It's good.
I did not notice. No, you're exactly right. So it is the same vocal melody, but it just feels like there's a little more juice on it because he kept it in a like that 3 time signature, whether it's 3/4, 6/4, or what did you also say? Like
6/8.
6/8. Like it's I don't think it's in 6/8.
Yeah, probably not. Whatever the time signature is, he sticks to that in the entirety of the second half. And
Honestly, it might be 6. It might be 6/8.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm counting it as 6/8. That's the most comfortable way for me to count it. But also, I'm not a music theorist, so I've only watched like 2 videos on YouTube. That's all I know about music theory. But no, this song is good, and nope, still too lazy. I'm not gonna figure out which song it was that I first heard by them, but it probably was this song. This song is this, and the first song, "Hishaku no Majo," are probably like the two good songs to start with. As far as this album, or as far as someone trying to listen to this group or this artist for the first time, it's like show them one of these two, and like, okay, you like this, get it, get it, this is what it's all about.
Right.
漂うよい闇あなたを抱きしめた言えないものが心を蝕んでもぐく翼はるに生まれた
Next track we have and I'm not sure if this reading is correct, but I just have Yoso, or it could be Yoruso, but I think it's just Yoso. Night Funeral.
Wow.
I do not have very many notes for this song.
Cool intro.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's acoustic, right? Got that spicy acoustic guitar.
That piano. So I want to ask, I feel like I've probably learned this before, but have since forgotten. What is that effect that they're applying to Okoge-chan's vocals at the beginning of this song and also in various parts throughout this album? It's kind of like a lo-fi sort of.
It's probably high pass filter.
Okay, that's what I figured.
And maybe a touch of distortion. But basically, you chop out the low end, you get that sort of like radio or old telephone sound, because those things can't. Well, especially like old telephones, they didn't have much low end, especially for men's voices. I forget where the exact frequency range is, but they don't have the low end. At the very least, I don't think they have even like up to 1500, which is where all of like men's voices are,
Uh-huh.
But I think it's just like a little high pass filter. If I had to guess, maybe up to like 800 or so, 600-800, because you can still sort of hear a little bit of her low voice, just a little bit. So, but just to cut out like the deep bass of her vocal, and then you can always throw a little distortion on top of that just to fuzz it up just a little bit, just to break it up just a little bit.
Mm-hmm. It's a nice touch.
Yeah, and you have these electronic beats too, while this intro is going. This song, like my only other note for the song is it's like a power ballad, I guess.
Yeah, it's a ballad. Why not, right?
It's fine. It's good. It's nice. It's all right.
Pretty by the numbers as far as gothic rock ballads go.
I don't think it changes time. It is in 3/4, 6/4, probably 3/4. No, I'd 6/4. I'd say 6/4. Okay. But no, it's just hanging out, just doing a little waltzy kind of thing,
And plops in a tremolo solo, sure, at like was it 2:45?
Yeah.
They're okay. You know, I used to be a big fan of tremolo solos, but now I don't know, not a fan of like the pick scrapey sound.
It's tough to mix those, you know, because
Yeah,
if you're
definitely.
playing the high notes, like you're getting all the pick attack as well. It sounds good in the mix, but when you solo it, you're like, oh, is that really how the guitar sounds? It's like, but I like them when they're used. You know, obviously you don't want to do them all the time. It's not like if like every song had a tremolo solo, it'd be like, but you know, it's fine. It's fine here. It sounds good. It's fine.
Yeah, that's all I had.
Yeah, I don't really have a ton to say about this song. It's just a
ballad.
It's a ballad. It's cool.
Good vocals.
Mm.
Solid composition.
We have this next song.
Oh yeah.
終雪は灰となりて, which I would localize, as the last snow turns to ash. To narite is, I guess an old way of using ninaru, which if you don't know any Japanese grammar is a way to say like becoming.
Mm.
So this once again just using some of that older Japanese in their song titles here. I'm gonna be honest. The note I have for this song is that this song exists, and this is about where I'm starting to sort of tune out of the album.
Really?
Yeah, that's really all I got. So if you have anything else to say, like if you have timestamps, I'll go and check it out. But I listened to this. And I'll say this again at the end. I listened to this album probably the most of anything we've reviewed so far.
Yeah.
And just every time it's like this. If we consider this like the middle of the album.
Definitely the middle of side Elysia.
Yeah, it's just like this song, and honestly, a little bit into the last song too. It's like kind of like I'm starting to tune out.
Yeah, why don't you speak on that a bit? What exactly causes this sort of reaction?
I guess I can talk about it now. That's fine. My problem is, and this is, it's my problem with the album is, like I just said, I've listened to it the most times. It's because every time the last time I really forced myself to listen like intently to this past song, Yoso, this song, Shusetsu wa Hai to Narite, the next song, Orpheus. And I just don't remember like any of it.
Okay.
I would not be able to hum back anything from those three songs. The melodic content on display through most of this album, like almost the entire album, is just not memorable to me. I have a hard time remembering any riffs, any vocal melodies, snippets of lyrics. Like I said, I'm not a native Japanese speaker, but I can latch on to some catchy syllables is not the right word, but like some catchy phrases, but like there was nothing here for me. Like the album sounds slick and well produced, but then there's not a lot here for me to actually remember about it. That's just my feelings about it. So I actually don't have a lot to say about this song, Shusetsu wa Hai to Narite and Orpheus. I have more to say about second disc. I have a little bit to say about the last song on this side, Elysia, Shiroki Yume wa Madara ni, and I'm not sure if Madara is the right way to pronounce that kanji. That's another outdated kanji, and we can talk about that more when we get to that track. But this just the middle of this album here, I just do not remember at all. And even when I force myself to listen, I'm like, what am I going to write about? There's nothing there's nothing here that I'm finding interesting or worth writing about for these songs. So I'm hoping you can pull me out pull me out of a slump here, because
I'm not very good at that, 'cause the most I've ever said about like any song is that I think it rules, and certain part is especially good, and that's the extent of like my analysis for the most part.
well, that's fine. It's just like, what parts did you think were good in Shusetsu wa hai to nari te?
Sure. I mean, just in general, I
Mm.
like this tempo. It's the perfect kind that you can headbang to, and I think there are a lot of headbangable parts in this song. Let's see. So starting with like 56 seconds in,
Mm.
I think that's just a really rad part.
Sure. I know I just made a whole thing like, oh, I don't remember anything, but I'm like, okay, no, I remember that. I'm
And then
like,
it
okay,
picks up. It's got a
okay.
little bit of the kill switch again. Where did we last hear that?
I think it was Ash of Rouge.
No, I mean, like, what album did we previously review that made use of that sort of kill switch to, like, stagger?
What, like that stuttered dan, 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 dan. I don't
Probably
know
Nekorisu, right?
what albums have we? Probably was Nekorisu, because I don't think the Kachi Kachi Yama songs we listened to did that, and those are like the only metal songs, like metal groups we really listened to. I think,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Now, it's interesting that you say that you don't really have anything to say about like this one or Orpheus, the next track, because these two happen to be the ones I like the most from Side Alicia.
沈ま描く世界はもう繰り返す時の目は私だけ置き去りにしていてつく夜とさよならで溢れて
Really, see this always happens. This always happens to us. Whatever. Here's what I wrote for Orpheus. This song has a guitar solo.
It does.
That's it. That's all I wrote.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I've let you down. I just
No, it's okay. It's okay. So I'm wondering, would these two have been more memorable to you if they were plopped, maybe like earlier on, before you've already experienced, like 3 songs and sort of like gotten a feel for like, okay, so it's
I honestly I don't know. Like, I feel like I got, and I'll talk. I think I have more to say at the end about like this stuff, but I feel like I got maybe the whole, like, I got the idea. I was like, okay, this is what it's gonna sound like from the first 2 tracks, and then the next 3 were kind of like, okay, it sounded like that. I don't. there's
but I mean, like Ash of Rouge and the first song, they're pretty similar in what they set out to do. Like, they're the same tempo. The third one, I don't really think much of it. It's just a ballad.
Mm.
But so I would say that if you switched around 4 and 5 and moved them above 2 and 3, I think, just as far as like your experience goes, you'd probably
maybe like it better. I don't know. I couldn't tell you that now. It's just like, I don't know. So here's the thing, and I'll say it again at the end. I don't think this is a bad album. It's good. It's fine. It's just I don't think it's for me.
Okay.
We're
Yeah,
skipping, and I guess we're skipping to the end a little bit, because I just it's, well, we'll talk more in detail at the end, I guess. Orpheus. What do you like about Orpheus? It has a guitar solo. I wrote that note.
It's a significantly cooler ballad than I don't know.
I think I would agree with you on that, actually. I did not write this as a note, but I do remember on my last listen, like I'm like, is this another ballad? I'm like, I think this is a better ballad than Yoso.
Yeah, Yoso. That's I again. As soon as you pronounce it, it escapes my memory, and I completely forget how to pronounce like any of the titles. But yeah,
I'd probably agree with you there. It's probably the better, slower song. You know, the better power ballad of the record.
hmm but honestly, like I don't have much to say, just about like these songs in general, aside from like the little bits that, like that particularly stand out. It's just that it's gothic rock.
So are you just kind of feeling me? How like there's nothing really here? They don't really
No,
do
it's
anything.
not that. It's that there's not a lot of words I can conjure up to talk about this album.
I guess that's true, and yeah, I think we'll talk about that at the end. It's just like, okay. So then let's talk about the last song on side Alicia, which is, and I'll apologize again because I don't know this last kanji here, but it's Shiroki Yume wa. There are a couple different readings for it, but I end up going with Madara ni, which is like spots or speckles. So like how I would have localized this would be white dreams fade to spots, which it's a little stiff.
That seems pretty cool.
I don't actually like the way I translated it, and that kanji, Madara, has a couple different readings, and in the end, this is the one time I did look at the lyrics. I'm like, did she say it in the lyrics? Can I get a cop out and figure out how it's read just from the lyrics? But the answer is no. I think she sings something else at the very end. Because the last lines of that song are Shiroki Yume, that kanji, to narite. So you've got to narite again, but the way she sings that part, it's kind of like Shiroki Yume wa something to narite, and I just can't hear it properly. Especially since the readings on Jisho are Mura, Madara, Modoro, Fuchi, Buchi, Han. Like there are a bunch of different readings, and none of them seem to really line up with what she's singing. So I think she's singing something else, like a synonym or something. Like one time when I was translating a Janet Tay song, the kanji, or maybe it was in katakana. It was probably the kanji, but it was the kanji for saikoro, which is dice, but it's sung in the song as dice. Like daisu ni ki o tsukete was the lyric, but it's written in the lyric book as the actual kanji for dice, saikoro. So I'm wondering if it's an instance of that. That is not terribly uncommon as far as writing Japanese lyrics, where you write the like Japanese kanji, but it's sung in a different way. I know Yu Yuppei does that a lot. He does put the actual reading in hiragana afterwards, which is very nice of him usually. But I'm just wondering if that's the case here, because I don't actually know how the reading of this last kanji is. So I don't even know if it's maybe even supposed to be like spots or specks. Like I'm a little lost here. But I ended up just going with Shiroki Yume wa Madara ni because we do have a deadline. I've got it. I do have to choose something, and I will suffer the consequences of my ignorance in the future, which I'm fine with. Everyone makes mistakes. But that's just the song title. So the song it sounds like the end of the album, which it sort of is. You know, this is the end of the Elysian side. Um, where I say Elysian side, Elysia. You know, it's the Elysian side. I did write the part of 230 is nice.
Yeah, we haven't really heard much like many passages where the clean guitar is like the focus. You hear it like here and there, but here it's like very clearly, hey, have some clean guitar.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it
like
sounds nice.
this is the first time you're hearing clean guitar the whole album. Album's over.
Oops. Hope you enjoyed your stay.
But then the solo, the solo breaks in. I like this guitar solo too. This solo rips.
Yeah, that's the most guitar solo in the entire album. They're really just going ham at it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good solo. That's a good solo. But that's really all I have to say about this song too. You know, I don't have a lot to say about it.
Yeah, I think now that I'm like thinking back to the beginning of our review, track 1, where I pointed out those sort of animals as leaders, gent, slappy guitar riffs. How I pointed out that it shows up multiple times in other songs, and you didn't catch that, or you weren't aware of that. And so in the intro to this song, let me get a timestamp.
Thank you.
Yeah, basically like 28 seconds in, it's there again. But now I've made the connection that at this point you've more or less tuned out.
Oh, okay. I hear that there, that distinct tone, but it sounds like they're actually playing a riff instead of just peppering the slap or the whatever it is in there. You know, it's like an actual riff. Am I crazy? Let me go back to the first song real quick. Okay, yeah, I mean, okay, that's a riff too. That's a riff too. Why was it so different? Why couldn't I hear that in this song?
Probably just you at this point you didn't recognize it as something that worth like pointing out.
Yeah, I guess it sounds a little quieter too. Like the way the weirdness of that sound, the weird frequency of that playing style.
Yeah, it's not as sharp.
It doesn't sound as in your face as it was in the first track, I guess. I don't know. Maybe that's just an excuse for my fraud.
No, that's fair. I definitely agree that it's not as, like the bite isn't as sharp.
That's good. No, that's actually a great word for it. But the bite, like the attack of whatever that playing style is, it's just not, to me, it's not as in your face as it was in Hishaku no Majo.
Yeah,
and it ends with that piano outro. Pretty cool.
Yeah, very, very crisp. It's got a lot of reverb, but the piano comes through pretty nice. So good samples.
Yeah.
So you had stuff you wanted to say at the end of Side Elysia?
No. Oh. At the end of the album, yeah, but we still have disc 2. We have Side Astral, which spoiler alert, I think is great. I'm actually I have more notes about this side of these 3 songs than I do the last 4 on the Elysian side. Oops. So we have disc 2, track 1, or track 7, however you want to call it. It's Hoshikuzu Rine. 星屑の輪廻, which is Stardust Samsara.
Neat.
The samsara is the cycle of reincarnations in eternal cycle of life and death. So it's I guess the life cycle of Stardust is another way you could think of this song title. Immediately coming in with these male vocals really sort of wakes you up. In my case, literally, it's waking up. We're in the other side. It's a really nice break of. Literally, this is my first note. It's a nice break of pace. Breaks the pace from the last 3 or so songs. Good change. Like it a lot. And then I wrote, of course, Fujita Kazuya's voice is nice.
Again, it suits the genre, like sort of visual K, or my notes say Ikemen vocals. It's hot boy vocals.
I guess that'd be a good way to describe it. This is what visual K is all about. Right?
Yeah.
So I think this is the song that the guest violinist played on. I think about 135 is when the solos and stuff start. Maybe. Let me skip to it. Oh no, it's a vocal part. There's a double I at 140. That's when the instrumental break comes in, and it's like the drums slow down to halftime, and there's like this super nasty vibrato on the violin. It sounds amazing.
Yeah, that rules.
Like that sounds like that. It sounds amazing. It sounds so good, and it's still. And then the drums pick up when the guitar starts soloing. So you got like the violin and guitar dueling solos. Sounds great. I love it. And then my next note is actually when the vocals come back in after these dueling solos. It sounds so good. The way he's singing "Hitomi no Okuni," like that sounds. I don't want to imitate his. I'm going to embarrass myself if I try to sing the line. But like that vocal delivery sounds so great, and he's just soloed. Like you have those little plucked synths, or maybe it's the violinist plucking the strings behind him, but just like that little plucking melody behind him. It just sounds so good. And then the rest of the band comes in, and the violin is screaming behind him.
Yeah, I really, really dig Kazuya's voice, especially when he hits the high notes.
Yeah.
Damn, this song kicks ass.
It's a good song.
Definitely, I'll say it, even though we have 2 more songs to cover, my favorite is this one across the entire album.
I would probably put it up there for sure. This or Ash of Rouge, or we'll talk about the next songs. You have anything else for this one?
No, I think my other note was, so I mentioned my first gut reaction is hot boy vocals, Ikemen vocals, and then it's there that I looked back at the album cover and thought, you know what? If I were to imagine what the male vocals would sound like, say if they're like, an anime character or whatever, it'd probably be the guy on the cover.
That's probably the point of that cover, but it looks good. Like I'm with you there. I sort of get what you're saying. It's like if this was like an anime song, it's like, oh, this would be like he would be the guy singing the vocals, right?
Yeah. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, no, I mean,
I have nothing poignant.
We said it already, but these pictures, the illustrations that went along with this project are great. They're very on brand for one.
Oh, for sure.
But they're very striking too. Of course, I'm a big fan of red, black, and white aesthetics, and so like those are the main, like that's the main motif of these illustrations. So it's very striking to me. It's very cool. They're cool, and they fit the theme of the project very well. Not to slight on the previous album, which, like I said, we're not going to talk about, but I do prefer the aesthetic of these illustrations over the previous album, which I think had a little bit more of a painted style. If you've seen the previous album cover. But anyway, let's talk about Phantom, which is the second song on the Astral side. Here we go.
It's a hot song for
I heard you. I heard you like swing beats.
I have heard many many Vocaloid compositions that use this swing rhythm. So my thought was, if you told me that this was like an Utaite cover, I'd believe you.
Really? It has been a hot minute since I listened to any Vocaloid. Of course, swing is not Vocaloid specific. This is just a classic swing beat.
Hmm.
But in the context of this album, it's a unique song, and having the piano, I guess, as like the lead melodic backing instrument it feels kind of like that. Also feels kind of unique in the context of this album as well, you know. So
Hmm.
I can give this song props for that. Like it's just got that smooth, it's got that smooth swing feel. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
and
just
we
makes
got
you want to move a little bit. But then you have that 25, you have that dun 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 dun. Like, I'm like, okay, we're still genting a little bit, I guess.
we've still got some chug in us.
Yeah,
But yeah, we got like little hints of it in the previous song, but here is really where it stands out that, we're getting a lot of like swagger, a lot of like attitude and style that
yeah, that's a
we
good
got
word.
like none of in the previous like at all inside Alicia, really.
That's actually, that's clicked for me now that you've just said that. You're exactly right. This, I can say it now. I think I like Astral Side better. Not
Yeah.
just because it's shorter, but I think these three songs are really concise. And this is not to say Okage-chan is a bad vocalist. But how do I say this? Because maybe that, not that the performances were phoned in. That's not what I want to say, but it just feels like Fujita-san's vocals are just like so, like they really elevate the songs that he's performing on, you know?
That's fair.
Like that's, and once again, that's not to say that Okage-chan did not perform well. I think I highlighted her performance on Ash of Rouge, the title track. That's like, I think her best performance on that side of the album. But I don't want to say it's just like, oh, you're just singing on the album, you know, because I don't think that's fair to say. But I do I think you're exactly right in the way that the Astral Side has more attitude in the vocal performances. I think that's what you were saying, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm
And I'm
with you.
certain it's by design,
You think?
Yeah, I don't think
No,
the
maybe.
compositions inside Alicia were intended to have like attitude or,
I guess I guess you're right. Yeah, when I think of it like that.
but I think it really suits Kazuya's vocal style to have, it meshes very well, his style and oh god, what's his name? Keisuke's arrangements. They do a really good job.
Yeah, Kurose. I'm gonna just call him Kurose-san. You know, got the last name.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
master.
Who am I to call them by their first name?
Yeah.
Oops.
Well, they're not gonna listen to this, so I think you're probably safe. The solo in Phantom is great, actually. I didn't timestamp it because I'm stupid, but
Oh, I'm there. 207.
207. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, like that's another cool, like another ripping solo, like the last song on Alicia. Oh, and I wrote on in my note here, it's like it finally feels like the first long guitar solo we've had all album. I don't know if it's just because of the swing tempo makes it feel like it's a longer solo. Because I wrote in parentheses right after, it's just a normal length solo, but it feels like a nice long solo. Because I know in a lot of the Alicia side songs, the solos were just kind of like short little solos, which is nice. You know, they're nice in their own way. But this is like the first, like, oh, it's a it's a guitar solo. And then I really like that low, like I know I said this at the beginning, like that dun dun, but it does it again during the solo at like 220. Sounds so good.
You know what I was reminded of first, thinking about like heavy metal, like metal riffs and the swing rhythm. And then once I added in the Vocaloid connection, you know who I instantly thought of next?
Huh.
Utsupi.
What swing songs has Utsupi done?
Oh Christ. Definitely there's one on what's our album with the green, is it Algorithm?
Yeah, Algorithm was the Green album. I don't remember listening to that one that much though.
It was like the
I'm gonna be honest,
Oh,
I'm only intimately familiar with Moksha.
I see.
I think Moksha is a good album.
It is.
Spoilers, if we ever review that album, I think it's good. So you can, in the comments for that album review, you can say, I listened to Ash of Rouge and you said it was a good album. I'm not gonna listen to this episode. I've already heard what you had to say.
I'm gonna send you it. The 8th track on Algorithm, Algorithmic Kabukicho, is has that sort of swing feel, and that's what I was instantly reminded of. Well, I mean, like it's not like a 1-to-1 comparison,
Yeah.
but
No, I hear what you're saying though. This is actually a pretty sick riff. No, that's a tasty riff right there. So I just want to say, I know you're saying like, oh, lots of Vocaloid Ps use this like the swing beat, and I mean that's fine. I feel like everyone can get one every once in a while, you know.
yeah, not that there's anything wrong with that at all.
I don't use it. I wouldn't use it all the time, but I am not, certainly not guilty of never using a swing beat. Pretty sure I have one song that I maybe have not released at this point that has the a cool swing beat. It's a cool metal swing beat song. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. When you say that, I'm like, okay, well, everyone, it's
Yeah, definitely nothing wrong with it.
I wouldn't want to. I don't know if I'd be able to listen to a full album of swing songs at this point. Like, I don't think it's the '60s or the '70s anymore. But
It certainly isn't.
throwing on a swing song on your album is definitely can be a nice change of pace.
Yeah, especially as we can see here.
Yeah. But that's really all I have to say about Phantom. It's another good song. I like it.
I do too.
僕を呼べばいいまた綺麗には投げるように風に乗り翼を広げたどこまでも遠くへと君とだから行ける地平の彼方を見せたくてつながる空香る花君の隣羽ばたいて見下ろした二人の足跡高く空を行く遠ざかる罪と傷はいえやがて後も忘れてく
But then we can move on to the actual last song on the album, which is She Thread. This song is probably like I know I said the last song with the swing beat makes you want to move a little bit because it feels good, but this song is probably like the danciest song on the album, which of course is maybe kind of strange. You hear about a metal, it's like a metal song. And it's like, oh, this song you can dance to it, but like you got this the guitar strumming in the beginning with the synths,
Yeah,
and it already feels like an upbeat, like, oh, I want to move to this,
yeah, the first 30 seconds is very, very danceable.
because this is my second note. This song probably has the catchiest vocal melodies on the album, right? And I know I've already sort of complained that like, oh, I don't remember anything. There's nothing catchy here. But if I was going to say something was catchy, it's going to be this song's vocal melodies. Just the big, I guess, jumps in the notes that he's singing sound really, they're really fun.
Oh man, just when it pops back into the sort of the really danceable Spanish guitar at 110 after the chorus,
Mm.
it's so nice.
Oh yeah, that's
If you're listening to it for the first time, you don't expect it to come back in. At least I certainly didn't.
mm.
So it's a nice, welcome surprise to have it return.
This is. I still like this song, but after the first two, I feel like this is probably the weakest song on the Astral side. But I still think it's good. I wrote my next note here is that the guitar solo is nice, and they do this during the solo and the chorus. But like the drum beat, it's just that classic snare. It's going pat 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 pat, and like it's not like it just makes you want to get up,
Mhm. Absolutely.
Not like a 1 tap 3 pat, it's like it's pat tap tap, or like a do bat do bat do bat do bat, like that kind of pulsing beat, I guess. I don't know how you describe it really. It's just like that classic rock beat, I guess a good example of that would be about 2:27. This is when the solo starts, and they just go right into that beat, like that beat.
Yeah. Right. I get what you're saying.
And I know during the chorus, it doesn't do it through the whole chorus. I think like the first half of the choruses, it does like a normal, like 1 tap 2 tap, like 1 2 3 4. But then for like the second half of the chorus and like the outro, it's just like pat pat
Two,
pat
three.
pat,
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
I think this is a good closer for the album. Like I said, I think it's probably the weakest song on the Astral side, but it's still a good closer.
Hmm. I think it makes the most sense as the closer.
What's that?
I think it makes the most sense out of the three.
Oh yeah, of
Like-
course. But yeah, I mean that's the 9 tracks. So there they are. We're already at the end, which is why I was surprised when you told me it's 40 minutes long, and it's like, wow, I've listened to it so many times, and it was 40 minutes every time, because I really, and it's not, this album does not overstay its welcome. So it's a fast 40 minutes. Like I said, the production is good, the songwriting is fine. But just in the middle part, I just have trouble latching on to anything, and that's really my problem with this. I do like it. I think it's good. It's just like it's not really for me to like listen to. If I, my note at the end for the end of this is like it's good if you just want to throw something vaguely gothic metal, something visual K on in the background. But like actually for me to just like listen to this and like trying to write things about it, especially those middle tracks on the Elysian side, it was really a struggle. Like there's I just did not find a lot about that part of the album especially to be extremely memorable. And I know you've talked about like the gent and the riffage, but I don't really remember like any of the riffs really, like, and I wonder if that's partially the writing of the riffs or the way the guitars are mixed, because this is something I have not mentioned up until this point, but the way the guitars are mixed, it's just to me like the guitars are there are guitars in the song, but except for like the solos where you have the high gain leads, there aren't really like the songs aren't really riff based, I guess is what I'm getting to, like it's not a riff based metal album,
Uh-huh.
which I think is normal for Visual K actually. Like I think that's like how that is, right?
Yeah, and so the
um,
focus is more on the vocals
the
then.
vocals, yeah, exactly. So that's why. So like you showed me this Utsupi song, and like immediately, like, oh, this riff, like I can remember this riff. Like that's a riff, There's nothing like that as far as like the instrumentation, or at least very little of that on this album. So I don't know. Like that's not a bad thing. I'm just saying that's just my opinion of it,
Hmm. Yeah, and as far as like memorable riffs, the track 4, the part I pointed out at like 56 seconds in, I definitely agree with you in that I can't really remember a whole lot, say like riff wise or just like any like major part. I'd be hard pressed to really like describe. If someone were to like later on, if they were to ask me, what I thought of this album,
Mm.
after we've completed this episode,
Mhm.
I'd really struggle to describe, like any individual song, except for like Phantom is
Mm.
stands
Phantom
like.
has the swing. It's the swing song.
Mhm.
Um, no, I'm with you there, and I'm just worried that means it makes me sound like I'm saying the album is like mediocre or something, which it's not. It's good, and I
Yeah,
like quite
I
a bit
really
of
yeah,
this.
I
But I
really
think
enjoy
like,
it.
but I think this is kind of like for me at least the Kurage Seek Room album that we talked about at this point a few months ago. Uh, that album was just it was fine. It was good, but I even now struggle to remember a lot of that album.
I don't remember anything at all, to be honest.
Oh no. Oh no. That's the kind of feelings I have about this album too, though. It's not one that I'm going to return to on a whim. If you've listened to the Crossfade and you like what you hear, do not, by all means, do not let my opinion, like my overall opinion of it, sway you from checking it out, like checking out the whole album. Um, Please form your own opinions. Um, I can only tell you my experience with it, but ideally you can make your own. If you like Visual K, if you like gothic metal, check it out because I said it at least twice already. The album is very well produced. It sounds good. It's a very professional sounding Dojin album.
Yeah, I think like just the whole presentation in general is very professionally, um, very slick.
Yeah. I just personally wish that I liked the songs more. Um I don't know. Cross
That's fair. And I
uh
mean, like, gothic
黒瀬さん、
metal or
すみませんでした。it's like it's like
Sure.
it's like I think it's good.
Yeah.
I do think it's good, and really, if you do like how you think it sounds, do not let my opinion change yours. Like
Mhm.
I don't know.
But it's sort of like it's also a reflection of your own taste, really, because
It is.
you don't really go out of your way to listen to Visual K, gothic metal, etc., right?
No,
So even
I
less
have
so that.
dabbled a tiny bit into it. Like I've listened to a little X Japan. The classic
Oh, right.
Visual K. um, but I'm not super well versed in it. I'm not a that's not why I picked this album. I picked it because I heard Ash of Rouge. Or I think I heard Ash of Rouge just in a YouTube video, like the full song, and I thought, oh, this is cool. Let me check out this project. And then I'm like, oh, this looks dope. Let's review it for the show. So it's not like I had a bone to pick or anything. I honestly thought I would like this album more than I ended up liking it. Like I guess that is the crux of it. I'm a little disappointed. It's still good, but I thought I would really like it, and it turns out it's just for me. It's just okay. It's fine,
Hmm.
Which I mean that happens. I feel like that happens to everybody.
Yeah, definitely. Especially with like even with bands that you're like a big fan of,
Mm,
and they release like one or two like preview songs or like singles, and you get really psyched for the album at large, and then you listen to the whole thing, and you find out that you didn't enjoy it as much as one, you thought you would, and two, you wish you would.
mm. Yeah, that's what I feel about this album. Something else I wanted to talk about, and maybe this isn't right, and if it isn't, we'll I'll edit it out. But um, something else I wanted to maybe talk to you about was like it's certainly not a bad album at all. How much does the cost of media affect your enjoyment and your consumption of it, right? So I watched, and this was a while ago. I watched a review of for the video game Hollow Knight,
Uh-huh.
which is I don't know if you've played it. I have not. I have purchased it. I just have not played it. Story of my life.
I know of it.
Uh,
I've never seen any gameplay, but I know it exists.
oh, okay. It's kind of
It's like a side scroll platformer shindig.
it's like it's a Metroidvania. Maybe you could describe it as like a 2D Dark Souls kind of thing, but not really. It's more of a Metroidvania. Um, where you explore a huge map and you collect power ups, and they open up new area, like those power ups open up new areas of the map. You know. Um,
Uh-huh. Yeah, that sounds pretty typical Metroidvania in that case.
right. So I watched a video about how Hollow Knight isn't a perfect game, but the amount of quality content you get for its low price of $15, it's basically a steal. Like there's many hours of gameplay in that $15, and it's like, how can you review something like that? You know, like it's like like the first thing they say is like I could come, you know, I'm going to dig into the critiques and stuff, but this game only costs $15. You should buy it anyway. If anything good about it that I'm going to talk about sounds interesting, you should get it, because you know the amount of enjoyment you are going to get for this $15 is like the ratio is enormous, you know?
Yeah, the value return on investment. There we go.
Right. The return. Okay, that's thank you. The return on the investment for Hollow Knight is extremely high. So I put it in the context of this song, this album. You know, like we mentioned at the beginning, it's about $25-$30 US to purchase
Yes.
it, even the digital download, and it's just 9 songs. And I think I mentioned this at the beginning, and that's really just so that it's fair, because the actual physical CDs, like it's a 2 disc, I think a double digipack, or maybe it's 2 CDs inside a jacket, but like it's a really nice package. But that's 3,000 yen as well, you know. So that's really to be fair to people who bought the CD, you know. I think that's why Kurose priced it the digital download like that, you know. But is that, especially for someone who is just, you know, listening to it online, is that return on investment going to be okay? And I know in this case you can listen to the entire thing for free and sort of decide if you like it enough to support it. But that's to me that's a really high price. You know, I listened to it on Bandcamp to write this review. You know, I know you've purchased it, but I listened to it on Bandcamp to make my notes and stuff. You know, so
Yeah, and
I will probably personally not be unless I am at an event where I can buy the CD, in which case I will buy the physical CDs, because it is a nice package. I do kind of want that.
You still do
there-
want the acrylic, kind of.
What's that? Oh, you do?
Well, I mean, you said you kind of want it as well.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, the Elysian side acrylic, you know, because yeah.
Yeah,
But
I get you.
But
Yeah,
you know, for a digital download for 3,000 yen, it's a lot, you know.
Yeah, and I really don't want to say that I feel to some degree a bit of like buyer's remorse, given that you know I'm not made of money. I do, you know, absolutely support Dojin artists, the Dojin scene in general. But yeah, just in taking into consideration like the cost of other albums I've purchased at like Dojin events, usually like in the 1,000 to 1,500 yen range. Similar like number of songs, similar length. It's I feel bad admitting that like it stings a little to have spent like $28
basically twice the amount
that
you
for
spend
an album.
on a quote unquote normal Doji album.
Yeah, and to have it amount to like 5 or 6 listens, and then I plop it into my library, and then if it pops up on shuffle, I'll be like, hey, this was pretty cool. I'll listen to it again. But by and large, it sort of just like fades into my my music folder. I really, really wish that wasn't the case.
Yeah, I hear you there. It's a strange topic for sure, because then you're sort of getting into like what is the value of art,
Yeah, and that's dicey in and of itself.
Yeah, it's a little beyond the scope of this podcast, but
Right.
it is. I think it was something to bring up, because it was definitely on the back of my mind listening to this as well. I'm just like, man, 3K for the digital download. It's like I should have if I had known, I really probably would have bought the CDs there, and then it would be like, okay, well, at least now I have the CDs, Do you want me to send you like $15? Like we can split the album.
No, it's okay.
No, it's like I don't mind splitting the album with you. Because I partook in this review too. It's like I said, I just listened to it on Bandcamp.
You should have convinced me to do that. What else is there to say?
There's nothing really else to say. Like just to summarize everything, I think this album is good. It's not bad. It's good. It's just I don't know if I'm ever gonna really like listen to it again, kind of deal, And I'm begging you once again, please, please, please do not let my opinion influence it. If anything about this sounds interesting, if you liked the parts of the crossfade you heard, you can check out the whole album for yourself. Decide for yourself. We're just trying to share some music that maybe you haven't heard of,
Yeah, if you particularly like this sort of style, gothic metal, or even a little bit of like obviously Visual K with the side Astral, I really recommend it. It's a solid like really good listen. It's just on a personal level, this isn't the genre that I find myself coming back to really at all. So my opinion is obviously it's going to be influenced by my own tastes, but just in my appreciation of the album, just like listening to it intently, I think it's pretty solid. If a little unmemorable, absolutely, sure, but yeah, solid listen.
I think if someone just let's say someone if Doja music were popular enough that someone randomly on the street could ask me what my thoughts were on this album, I would say that I liked it, and that there were some cool parts, but I don't think I'd be able to tell you what those parts were, You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I always feel bad when when it feels like I'm gonna say something that's not like glowing praise for an album, because it's just like someone made this, they put a lot of work into it. You can tell. It's just not for me. But it's good. Check it out. It's ELFENSJóN, Ash of Rouge.
Ash of Rouge.
Cool. This has been another episode of the Two Dopes podcast, the 2D podcast. I've been Veto.
I've been DJ.
And we will see you hopefully next week. Once again, I mentioned this on Twitter once, but I apologize for the delay of a week. There was some stuff that we had to take care of. We are gonna, hopefully by the time this episode goes up, we'll have at least a YouTube channel to put it up. I don't know if we're gonna have a website ready, but I do want to have a website just to sort of, you know, keep that as a its own thing as well. So hopefully, like I said, hopefully by the time this episode goes up, we will have an actual legit site and channel on YouTube. Anchor, you know, I liked it at the start, but now that people have expressed interest in actually listening to the podcast,
Right.
the flaws are sort of showing through, like the cracks are sort of showing in Anchor. And I really would prefer not to have, even though it's the Dojin crossfades, I would prefer not to have those on like actual websites like Spotify or like iTunes podcast, like Apple Podcasts.
Yeah, any mediums in which they would want to distribute their music.
Right. Well, not only that, but anywhere that we don't have direct control. Like if we're contacted by a circle and they say, "I don't want you using the crossfade in your podcast," it would be difficult to get it off of, like, to update it on Spotify. I feel like it would be difficult to update all of those if we have control over the platform that we are uploading the podcast to. I think if there are any problems in the future, we'd be able to take care of it a lot more swiftly. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Because, you know, keeping it on Anchor, we can do that really easy. But if we were to auto distribute to Spotify, or for example, then I don't know exactly how quickly those would go through, or if we would have any control at all. You know, I don't know. It's I think it would just be easier to control that on our own terms. You know. But anyway, all that boring. Thanks again for sticking with us. We're gonna try to have for weekly. What am I saying? You know, for another episode for next week. Thanks for listening.
Yeah. Tune in next time.
Peace.
Peace.